to mute everyone, I think. And otherwise, Dick, it's up to you to take over.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jim, and for hosting our Zoom meetings, and thank you all for coming to the January 11th general member meeting of REA. This was supposed to be our first in-person meeting back at the War Memorial Building, but the Omicron came up and bit us on the butt, and the board had an emergency meeting on December 17th, and we decided to go back into Zoom until the spring. So we'll reevaluate sometime in the spring, and maybe things will improve then or not. Those of you who made it to our holiday party in December at the Valley High know how great it was. We had missed the prior year, and so it was week one, and we had a great attendance despite terrible weather, and I think everybody had a great time. And I want to thank Dave Toomey, who is our Vice President of programming, who is overall responsible for our events like that, and the volunteers that helped put that all together. They did a great job. November is the time where we re-elect people or elect people whose term is up. We did hold our elections in November for the following people. These were all people that had continued and offered to continue in office. And today starts their new term. Those people were myself as president, Dave Toomey as vice president programs, Mike Bresnahan as vice president for advocacy, and two directors, Mary Ann Stepnowski, who is also our webmaster, and Chris Brewster, who's also a director. And I want to acknowledge the fact that this is the start of their term, and I want to thank them in advance for their past volunteer work for us on the board and for their future volunteer work. And the one announcement I have in terms of one officer, Karen Butler has been our great treasurer for about the past 10 years. Done a wonderful job for us. And she finally decided that she'd like to retire from her retirement job and do other things. And I couldn't talk her out of it. So we did a recruiting operation, and Mary Ann Stepnowski, our webmaster, had known of this individual, and we recruited her. The board this morning actually has appointed her as our treasurer designate, and her name is Abby Solis. Abby, are you on yet with us? She's not here yet, but hopefully she'll join us. She's not taking over immediately. She's taking over at a date to be determined in the future based on the transition and training that goes on with that position. So I will introduce her again at some other point. And we want to, of course, thank Karen for doing a wonderful job as our treasurer all these years. And we want to welcome Abby. Abby is a retiree of the city attorney's office, was in charge of their administrative services. She's been a supervising management analyst and is a whiz with spreadsheets and budgets and so forth. So she's a great candidate, going to be a good fit for our treasurer job. So we're looking forward to that. Our minutes of our November meeting and our December meeting will be posted on our website, as we traditionally do. The treasurer's reports for both November and December are available by emailing Karen Butler, our treasurer, and she would be happy to send you copies of the treasurer reports for the last 2 months. We're a calendar year-based organization, so the December report is a year-end report for us, and a report that we're in good shapes. The other major announcement that occurred this morning in our board meeting was that the board has recommended that the dues be increased for our membership. Our dues are currently $3. $2. Just to give you a little history, The dues were like 50 cents a month for our members until 2003. And then in 2003, they went up to $1. In 2006, which was at the height of the litigation over our pension system, we established a legal reserve and added the membership added a second dollar. They went from $1 to $2, but one of those $2 is dedicated per our bylaws to our legal fund. Our legal fund, by the way, is now up to $334,000, so it's been doing well. But the $1 that was the operating fund amount of the $2 has not changed since 2003. So the board has been studying this for a while, and we will put together, we've actually, a draft is now done, and we will put together a detailed business case for why we're proposing this. But per our bylaws, any dues increases that we propose have to be adopted by the general membership. So we're planning to do that, put that forward at the March 8th meeting of the general membership. We'll be putting out a lot of information we'll be in our electronic newsletter, monthly newsletter. We'll give you the full business case for why we're proposing this to the membership. We'll also put a briefer write-up of this in our physical newsletters for those that are not online. There will be an opportunity for those that do not get the electronic newsletter to go to our secretary, Brad Jacobson, either by phone or by email, and get a copy mailed to them if they would so choose, because we want to make sure that everybody knows about what we're proposing. They know the date that we're talking about, and they know the reasons that we're proposing doing that. So be looking for that. Like I say, our operating budget has existed on $1 a month per member since really 2003. So it's been 20 years, almost 20 years that we've done that. And what we're seeing is we have a whole combination of things. We've got the inflationary increases that have occurred over time. We've grown tremendously as an organization, and with it has come increased costs. We've also grown so big, and we started out as a primarily social organization. And when we transferred over our emphasis to advocacy, which it is now, that added more complexity, and we've added a lot of members, and we in order to be more businesslike, in order to accommodate that growth, we've outsourced a number of functions, including membership management, including call center. We have a call center now that we contract with, so that you can call, our members can call in and get answers to questions or get somebody to call them back. So we've contracted for that. We've contracted out physical production of our newsletter and electronic newsletter. So we've also had an expansion of what we're trying, our mission. We're doing things now in our mission that we had not done over the years. And the last couple of years, we focused on an effort to improve our image, the image of our organization, and particularly city retirees. And that means that we've partnered with a number of organizations like the Voice of San Diego and other things, where we've added volunteers to promote things, and we've added targeted financial contributions to organizations like Read San Diego, like the swim program that the Park and Rec has, like the Voice of San Diego, and so forth. And for a combination of the increased mission and increased cost, increased professionalization, and again, all this will be written up in our business case. That's the reason for this. So be looking forward to that. And again, the emphasis is, if you want to have a say in voting for this, please join us on March 8th, and we'll look forward to that. Let's see. At this point, I'd like to introduce Cynthia Queen, who is the CSRS Director of Member Services, for some few choice words. And I forgot to warn everybody that we do record this. It is posted on our YouTube site, so just be aware. Cynthia?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see everybody. And I know we're kind of back in COVID land, but it was absolutely a pleasure to get to see 94 people at the REA holiday party. That was very cool. I was glad to make it through the rain to get there. So great job. That was very cool. And I want to say that I think your image is great, maybe because you hang out with me. But I love the volunteer programs that you have going on, Stacy. I really enjoyed reading about that. And Myra Herman's on the line, who just retired. And I loved reading the employee spotlight that was about Myra's great work in her 30-year career. And I had the pleasure of working with her. So I know you're all cool people and you should have a really good image. So good job. I wanted to let you know that one of the things nearest and dearest to my heart is getting those 1099s out on time. I'm even going to do my own taxes earlier this year. And I want you to know that our team has done such a great job just making sure that schedule is tight and everything is in order. COVID can't stop us. No snow can stop us, and everything's looking good. So I don't want to give you an exact date, but we've got everything nice and on track, and you should be getting that information most certainly by the end of January, and then we'll have it uploaded to the member portal. As soon as those are sent, Jessica Taylor will obviously give an update, and then I bet you guys will have it straight away in your e-blast. So love that partnership and love the teamwork that we all have. Want to make sure people can get things done and get it done well. So appreciate all of your advocacy on all of these important projects that we do and that you all do. So good news, 1099s coming soon. And then I wanted to remind everyone that although we had such a nice time seeing each other, SD SIR's offices are still closed to all of our members and the public, which we have been this whole entire pandemic that's lasting way, way, way too long. And so we've made an effort to kind of remind folks of that because, you know, you can go to Target and you can go to some places, but we definitely are still working remotely. I am very thankful to our staff who's here in the office with Greg and I today, and to all the folks who are always doing a good job. We certainly talk to you on the phone all day long, do counseling appointments all day long, processing those health reimbursements and all the health paperwork. But we've got a skeleton crew here and we rotate it, and we're trying to keep everybody healthy too. So it's hard in a big high rise. Sometimes people come down and I want to make sure our security, you know, we try to keep everything going on, keep everybody in the know of what's going on, but just did want to remind everybody that our offices are still closed, even though we are doing the work and making sure that we're taking care of things and getting everybody paid. So that's what I wanted to share. And I know that my colleague, Greg, will be sharing some information too. So I want to make sure I leave time for that. But it's really nice to see everyone, and Happy New Year. And thanks for having me as always.
Thank you, Cynthia. I really appreciate your report every month. And I know that you had other obligations this morning, but you made it here on time, and we're thrilled. I'd like now to introduce Greg Rademacher, who is the CEO of SIRS, and I know he's got some good news to pass along. So Greg, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Dick. I'm going to start with a rhetorical question. Do you know what is one of the favorite things SD SIRS staff get to do? And the answer is paying you your retirement benefits. For us, it's kind of like the joy you get when you're walking into a room holding a homemade birthday cake with the candles blazing and everybody singing, just that kind of joy. But everybody who has baked a homemade birthday cake knows that it takes a lot of work from the chickens, the farmer, and the cook before anybody starts lighting the candles. So the same is true with paying you your retirement benefits. And SD SIRS works really hard for your benefit security to pay the benefits accurately and timely each and every month. So we were really happy to read in the Union Tribune recently about SD SIRS and our efforts to fully fund the retirement plan and ensure your benefit payment security. The article highlighted how last year's strong investment return of 24.9% really helped us along our way for our long-term funding plan to bring us to 100% funding. The city's funding rose from about 70% to 74%. The port's plan rose from about 74% to 78%. And just amazingly, the airport's plan rose from about 90% to 95%. So the SD SIRS Board of Administration really has been working hard for years to create a long-term funding plan that balances benefit security, stable and predictable costs, intergenerational equity, and cost sustainability. And this is really important because the investment portfolio's earnings really pay for over half of the benefit payments you receive. So with that really strong 2021 investment market, our journey to 100% funding goal got a lot closer. We now anticipate reaching 100% funding around 2033. So that's, you know, in retirement land where I live, that's pretty close. So we're really excited and hope that we have a good future. So staff look forward to happily sending you your retirement benefit payments to you each and every month. And in closing, we just would like to say we really appreciate you inviting us to these meetings and giving SD-SERS the opportunity to say hello and stay virtually connected. And I really believe 2022 is going to be a really good year. And I look forward to SD-SERS and REA enjoying it together. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Greg. Really good news on the actuarial evaluation, and it was great to see a positive, really positive article in the UT, which is kind of a rare thing for SERS and for defined benefit pensions. So it was really great to read that article. Okay, thanks you, and I just want to thank you, Greg, and Cynthia and your staff. You've always been great to work with, and we really appreciate the tone that you guys set and the cooperation that we get. We sometimes don't agree, but it's a good, healthy working relationship, and I know it's going to continue during the coming year. So thank you again. Okay, with that, I would like to adjourn our business meeting and now move into our program for today. And I'm really looking forward to this. And I'd like to have Stacy Lomedico introduce today's speaker. Stacy.
Thank you, Dick. Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Andrea Tevlin. Andrea is the first, and actually only to this point, independent budget analyst. She was the independent budget analyst since 2006, and I had the pleasure of working with her for several years. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. She started as an intern with the city manager in Tempe, Arizona. She worked in a variety of positions in the finance office. Of particular notice, she was 5 years as the budget and research department director in Phoenix, Arizona, and then also 5 years as the deputy city manager before she came over in 2006. She has a reputation of high integrity and transparency and ethics, and I think that's what made her an outstanding IBA. And I hope you welcome me as she tells us a little bit about the challenges starting the IBA office, as well as maybe what the city is going to be facing in the future. So I'll turn it over to Andrea.
Well, thank you, Stacy. I'm honored that you asked me to come here. And I'm kind of, this is a narrative sort of responding to some questions I've been asked by Stacy. So if this isn't the right information, you can ask questions afterwards. But I'm really talking about what she said is the challenges our office had, and how that really changed over the years. It's quite interesting. So I'm just going to start with, so I started the first day that the Strong Mayor, Strong Council went into effect in January of 2006. And surprisingly, I lasted 16 years. It has been a wild, challenging, difficult ride, but I can say that these past years are the most fulfilling of my 46-year career. I made it through the fascinating personalities here, the 30 council members that I worked for, 4 mayors, 3 attorneys, 3 auditors, not to mention all the issues of the city that the city was juggling and still is juggling. And here I was coming from Phoenix and never been with a strong mayor form of government before. So I was with a new office that nobody understood. Many people didn't want to understand it, and some people just wanted us to just go away. And you couldn't imagine who that might be. No names. So overall, I think that the most difficult challenge we faced was getting people to understand our role, even accept our role, respect our office, which took years, and understand that our office is here to stay, and we are as important as the mayor's office is. So I was determined, though, to meet the expectations of the citizens and the council that believed the IBA office was necessary for the Strong Mayor Forum to be successful, and therefore they placed it on the ballot to make sure that our office existed. There would no longer be a city manager to advise the council, and that's where this whole concept of the IBA came in. But there would no longer be a city manager to advise the council, and the majority of the city's employees would be reporting to the mayor and carrying out his agenda. And that's a really big difference between a city manager form of government. With the mayor not being a member of the council, it created distinct silos between the two branches. And I think that is something that is very difficult. It means that information would likely not be available as soon as the city manager would do that. The relationships would be very different and between the branches. And another significant difference between the Strong Mayor and the city manager form is that typically the city manager is responsible for presenting options and facts and information. And you were all city manager form too, so you know this. But this city manager is responsible for presenting options, facts, information, best practices, financial and community impacts, as well as make recommendations to the council and the mayor to consider. So the Strong Mayor, the mayor focuses on his own agenda, which is appropriate. So the IBA came in to replace that part of the city manager's responsibility to provide the facts and the advice to the city council to assist them in their decision-making. And it makes sense that this IBA, right now the mayor does not provide any options. It's how he wants to do it, and it's our job to come in and examine it from many different places, and then give them the background and the facts that they need to make their decisions. So Stacy asked me to talk about what it was like to join the city during this time and about creating the first IBA office. It was very tough on many levels. The charter language was not very clear. Everyone was power grabbing. I had to get the office up and running, or at least make it look like it. And I knew I had to hire within the organization, since I didn't know anything about San Diego's financial or budgeting. I was so new here. I hired, though, Jeff Sturak. Many of you know Jeff Sturak, and at that time he was deputy director of the budget office. Man, he was able to, and I made him my deputy, and he was able to convince 4 of the top budget department folks to risk to risk and cross over to the council side and risk the new IBA office. It was a godsend. I don't know what I would have done. There was no way I could go outside, or because I really needed people who could teach me about the ins and outs of this organization. So the mayor's office never liked that we stole 4 people. That got Jay all worked up, which I don't blame him, but that's where the people wanted to go. they weren't doing a really good job of where those jobs, where those people were going to be, and how many would be in each, what would the organization look like? So a lot of people decided, well, let's do something else, because they were concerned about their jobs. But it made the mayor's office just did not understand the role. And as we began our work, it really showed that they were not interested in this office. It made for a difficult relationship, and it made our work even more difficult, particularly in getting information from the departments, and just being able to do our work. And that, I mean, that's kind of a normal thing in terms of power. When you have a changeover like that, everybody's looking to, get their word in. And I was going to do that too. And, people would say, well, we're a strong manager or strong mayor form of government, and we were voted on. And I said, well, the IBA was voted on too, and I'm going to be a strong IBA. So it was just this kind of stuff that was going on. It was really, in every report I wrote, it was like, that's not right, blah, 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 blah. You can't say that. It was really something else. But one very important thing in this job is, first of all, one day at a big luncheon where the mayor was speaking, a person in the crowd asked the mayor, how are you getting along with the new IBA? And the mayor said, she's a big pain in the ass. Was it a compliment? I don't know. One very important thing in this job, though, is to know that every single day someone or a bunch of people will be upset with you, including council members. We are not there to make council members or to make sure that the council member can push their issues. We are there to tell them what they need to look out for from mayor's proposals, and what they need to look out for their own, how they are determining various, just their items that they're voting on. Because the new charter language for the strong mayor was not clear about various authorities, their power grabs went on for several years amongst the mayor and the council. And we played a very important role in advocating for council authorities where appropriate. And we made a lot of headway in clarifying the council authorities, in looking out for that check and balances, which was what our office is all about. We wanted to make all the communities not only understand our role in the organization too, and we wanted to make sure we were going to be respected and valued, or we hoped we were going to be respected and valued over the years. It did take quite a while. So one of the bigger disputes early on about our work was how can our office, let me see, just 1 minute. So our office started out to be limited to pretty much budget and financial items. But we also needed to be doing policy issues, and that was not part of the ballot item. So there was a lot of confusion. We were not just budget, but that's what was in our name. But you can't do budget and not do policy. No matter what people said, we needed to be able to absolutely advise on policy and the budget. So the council put on the ballot the next year in 2008 that we definitely were going to be able to do policy work, and that was a closed issue. And from then on, our work just ballooned. Over the years, in addition to our regular responsibilities, one of the things we took on just on our own that really wasn't, the city wasn't doing a good job of, was informing the public about the processes in this form of government, especially for the budget. So you could understand the budget, You could understand it and make decisions on your own. You'd be able to come to a meeting and understand more of what the issues were. So we did a lot in that, we just did that on our own because we saw a real need. Every meeting we went to, people would come up in the, poke on us and say, what did you mean by that? And who is it, the mayor that we talked to about the budget, or is it the council members? Is it you guys? So we kind of took that and said, hey, we developed some crash courses on the city's budget process about 6 years ago. And we had a huge attendance for it. And we just did it after work, like 5 to 6 and 5 to 7, several times a year. And we ask anyone who wants to come. Well, actually, we're doing it virtually for the last couple of years. But it was really important. It went over really well with the communities, and the communities got started to really believe in us, that we were trying to do the right thing and that we were looking out for everyone. And we also did guidebooks for the citizen guides for understanding the budget processes and also understanding the CIP process, both of which have been very, very successful. When we were at budget meetings in the community, like I said, people just were having a very hard time, and they still do, but I think a lot of the work we did was very helpful. At least that's the feedback we get. Another interesting question to us throughout the years is, how can you truly be independent if you are hired by and report to the council? That's a very good question. This job is not to try and determine the council's individual positions and support those positions. Like I said earlier, it's to support them by providing facts, information, and advice to assist them in determining their positions. We get in trouble with the council or some council member, every week because they're upset they can be upset about what we chose, what our position was, and what we're saying about what they may want to implement. But that's the whole thing. There are 9 people. You might like that. The others are hoping that I will say if there's something concerning about that proposal. And that's what we do. We bring out the facts, the information, we know, we provide advice, and then we come up with recommendations. We report those at the council meetings for every item that we are reviewing. So we are advisory only, and the council can do whatever they feel is best. It isn't our job to tell them what to do. It's just our job to stay with the basic facts. And never once has a council member ever come to my office or me directly and suggest that we change our recommendations to be consistent with theirs. They actually get our reports on all of these issues when we release it to the public, release it to the mayor's organization. They get it at the same time. So it's not a thing where we're running around trying to determine where they are. We're trying to determine what the facts are. Let's see, on another topic that Stacy mentioned, the recruitment process for a new IBA has started. I retired on November 13th. It was very difficult. I loved this job. I just felt it was time. You just get that feel and that you do want to do a few other things in your life. And I was 68, doing 10 Zooms a day. And I just thought, I can't do this anymore. And I love the challenges. I really do. I love the issues. I love being sort of in the middle of the circle of everything. But so right now the recruiter has been hired and a brochure for applying the position is supposed to be out soon. The council's hoping to have the process completed in March or spring, but it will all depend on the number and the quality of applications. And Stacy again asked a very difficult question regard to that. What do you anticipate being the most challenging for your successor? And I will, well, I had my challenges. I think my situation was a picnic compared to what he or she will face, especially if they are not familiar with the organization. I say that for no reason other than COVID and all the unknowns and how long this goes on. It's very difficult to build relationships, and that's what we have to be all about. People can only trust our work if they know us as a person, and what our, you know, what our whatever you call it, what we believe in. So it's very difficult if you are not able to talk to the council members face to face, in the mayoral staff and department heads and agencies. And it's just very difficult because people need to know you, because we're still, you know, we're still just sort of hanging there between everybody. And some people think it's a good thing and some other people don't think it is a very good thing. I think it has turned out to be a smart move that the city did, because the council literally would have been without any executive level staff, aside from their very good staff people, but their staff people is advocating for them and what they are trying to do. We are just telling them, think about this, and does this still feel right? So other than, so another thing I was going to say is, the issue is, you know, the city council is not holding meetings yet in the chamber. And that is a very difficult thing. It's hard to be effective and communicative when the council's on the Zoom boxes. And just like now, you know, we were at the dais along with them, and we could, you know, give notes to them or their staff, or we could jump in at the dais if I thought the mayor's office was saying something that was not correct. You know, we had the thing that we could just jump in, and now it's sort of the raise the hand thing. So it's really been hard, and I am really looking forward to them getting back to the chamber. And I don't know when that will be. So it also, you know, what working schedule is the new IBA going to want? That's really going to be a big issue for everyone. So it's not easy. In fact, I had at least everyone around me helping me or yelling at me or whatever, but they were there. And we could talk to one another and work things out. And this is a very difficult job to do in this environment. Other than that, if they pick the right person, I think it will be someone who, the person that I think they will pick is someone who respects the current protocols, guidelines, and the charter amendments, the missions, and all the work that has gone into 16 years of raising the respect for our office and understanding of our office. And I would also hope that where appropriate, that they would help to grow the IBA office and continue to advocate for the council as a counterpoint to the mayor's office. And last hard question from Stacy was, would I be willing to share my thoughts on the strong mayor form of government? I would like to hear your thoughts. I really would. You know, I worked for the city manager form of government for nearly 30 years, and you really do get brainwashed about that's the only good, you know, form there is. And, you know, the strong mayor is the devil. that's, I mean, everyone that has an MPA probably has gotten that same brainwash. But after I had that when I came here. I thought, but that was one reason I wanted to help the council, because they were going to be considered sort of not as, as, I guess, important as the mayor. And I think that's what I've learned, is that the city did a very good job, I think. I mean, not just in our office, but also looking for the checks and balances of the two branches. And I think that's where we did a good job. I think the what do you call it? The distance between the silos is what I'm trying to say. The silos that are with the mayor and the council. A lot of strong mayor cities have the mayor still on the council, so you still have that. He has to face the people, and he or she has to understand the council and work with them. He or she. But in this case, the mayor hangs out over here, doesn't need to stay at the meetings where the council's being yelled at for something the mayor might have done, and not just the council. He doesn't need to face that. And he also has great authority for the budget and in actually getting things done, because he can give us the information, but we need to have the time enough to do a good review of it. And what happens sometimes is we get the material very close to the end, and it also becomes a very difficult thing for our office. So I think there are some good things we did, and there are some bad things, but I think that's the same for the city manager. I realized the other day, as hard as we fought for the mayor not being able to hire the auditor, which is the appropriate thing, and that's the way it is now. The council hires the auditor. I lost my train of thought. I forgot my thought. So, I know what I was saying. The city manager, where I worked, does hire the attorney. He or she hires the auditor, and those are all things here. When you think about it, those are independent from the mayor. So there's sort of there are forms of this budget, or there are forms of this government all over the place, and they're very different. And I think really what it comes down to is the people you have in the chairs. And I think that may sound like a cop-out, but I really think you've got very good people and you have bad people. And there's no right pattern for this governance. And I think it should be part of what the city the communities are involved in, to understand what would be the city's best form. And that's what we did in San Diego. The Citizens Initiative and the committee put this on the ballot, and that's letting the communities be a part of it. And they voted for it. And so I think we should keep continuing with that form of government. I know a lot of people question it, but this is what the people wanted. And that's my perspective on that. And that's all I have to say right now. But I would like to hear what you think.
Thank you, Andrea. That was fascinating. What we need to do now is to wave a hand of some sort if you would like to speak. And I'd like to ask Stacy and Jim, if he's still there, and myself, to kind of help identify people. We can only see 25 on one screen. So Stacy, you have an idea how to do this?
Yeah, Jim and I are looking. I've raised my hand and I'll ask my question and then lower it. So between Jim and I, we can unmute ourselves and ask someone to ask their question. First of all, I want to say thank you. I was a new director when the new form of government came under Mayor Sanders. And for those of you in the audience, you remember that financial management used to be the only one that would do the reports. And I have to say that they were very convoluted. And being an analyst and a director, I didn't even understand other departments' budgets. And it really wasn't until the IBA reports on the budget came out that the community, let alone those of us who were working in the city, really understood and could understand what the adds and the reductions were, which made financial management a better department because they followed suit and provided so much more information from the 5-year to their quarterly fiscal reports. And that came from your group. And it was amazing how fast that happened. You asked about strong mayor form of government. I would say the only one that I would say that shouldn't be elected is our city attorney, but that's just me. But a question that I would have when you said the challenging and the financial is, is it a challenge, more of a challenge now with the council staff compared to what the council staff was 10 years ago, based upon those that have chosen politics as their career path?
I'm not following you. What do you mean?
Basically, in terms of a lot of people have gotten out of politics. It's a different generation. They're more community-based compared to where it was illegal. You had a legal background or a financial background or a poli-sci background. And now it seems to be a different career path. And maybe I'm wrong.
For the council
Yes.
staff?
Not the council themselves.
Yeah. I hadn't really been attuned to that. I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I don't see any other hands. Any other questions?
There's a hand. Is that
Mike.
Mike's hand up? Got to unmute him. Not hearing you, Mike.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had to unmute myself. Thank you very much for the presentation. I very much appreciate it. The question I have is, was the IBA, was it, my impression is that it was a construct that was crafted pretty much by the city of San Diego. And my questions are, was it modeled on some other strong mayor form of government? Were there other organizations that was used as a model? And my second follow-up on that would be do you see this as proliferating through an IBA sort of an organization? Has it migrated to other strong mayor forms of governments throughout the country? I could see if I were the strong mayor of New York City, I would want somebody like you, I would think, doing the work you do.
Yeah, it was really based on the state in the success that has been with their person that is equal to what we do. So that's my understanding. I wasn't here, but all the background, I know that was one thing they were trying to match it up to the state body. And it's interesting. I think the IBA is a really good idea, but we had several cities call on us, and they would come down and talk to us about it. They would hear about it. We would talk to them about it. They go back home and the councils can't agree on what this job is, or they make it 2-person deal, or just for the president. Or everyone we talked to, there was like Florida and Chicago came down for some other things, and we met with them. We had several people, but I think that what made it work here is the crisis. Everyone knew we had to do something different it's not even about the people here. I mean, it's somewhat, but we had to do something. We couldn't just get a new manager. We had to do something big before this community was going to accept our government. I mean, we're still facing that. We really are. But at that time, everyone was focused so much on the budget. And I mean, really putting everything on that. That was the focus. And we had to do something pretty drastic. And it worked. Because I don't think, even if you hired the best city manager in the world, that the community would accept that form of government anymore.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so, yeah.
Chris?
Chris has got a hand up. Chris Brewster.
So Andrea, first of all, I left the city before this chaotic and crazy strong mayor form of government came in. So I only have happy memories. Now, as far as this situation with the mayor referring you as being a pain in the ass, I would consider that a real badge because it showed that you were right, doing your job.
Yeah.
But
So
I've really been intrigued watching you over the years because I can't remember a situation at the council where anyone went after you, any of the council members, and said, hey, that Tevlin woman, I mean, what are you smoking or whatever. So at least in public, they were really convivial and showed great respect for you. And I'm wondering, is that the way it was behind the scenes?
Well, no.
Name names, name names.
No, there are a couple council members over the years that I just didn't like me or didn't, just didn't get me. But I would say it's like 3 out of 30. Fortunately, I just had good relationships pretty much overall with people and with the council members and their staff. That's really important, to get relationship with their staff, so their staffs can tell them, hey, this is what the IBA did today for you. And we really have had to work this, I'm telling you. But I think what they feel today is very sincere. I mean, they really believe in this office, and they want to make sure it continues. And there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of clarifying authorities of the council versus the mayor. I mean, there's all sorts of issues still, but we've got rid of some of the bad ones. So I think for the most part, they were sincere.
Yeah, and I think it's a real tribute to you. I saw that Elaine Howell, the state auditor, just decided to step down a little while ago, who had a position somewhat similar to yours, where often I suppose she had to bring bad news to legislators that their idea was not going to fly financially, or they'd have to modify or whatever. And yeah, it's a real tribute to your service that you were a straight shooter down the middle and gave them, the data, and then they had to figure out the policy around that.
Yeah, it's a lot in the way you present it. It's a hard job to navigate.
I have a question, a comment and a question, Andrea. My comment is in reference to strong mayor form of government. Tell me if you agree or disagree that the 101 Ash Street would have had a far less chance of ever occurring under a city manager form of government. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I don't think what would have happened. Again, I don't know. I mean, this is
maybe not a fair question, I guess, but The way I look at it is that the impression I get in reading all that's gone on with that is that some people got in a room and decided they were going to do business with so-and-so, as opposed to having the whole deal analyzing and so forth. But I won't push him further on that. But the question I have is, how do you decide if it's not purely budget? How do you decide what to do and what not to do? What topics to take on? Because you can't do everything. So how do you make a decision?
Oh, well, a lot of it comes out of the dockets. You know, if the council, the mayor has to put all his important, ordinances, programs, etc. He has to bring them to the council. So that's sort of the beginning of it. Does that make sense? Because the council's voting on the mayor, so we take that information, and before they go to that meeting, we issue a report on what we think about this, and we will criticize it. We will tell them to send it back. There's not enough information. We'll tell them move ahead. So that's kind of where we start, is what's on the docket. Aside from that, there are issues that the council is working on, and they may ask our help in developing a proposal from our perspective. I don't know, anything else on that? Or
Other people? I don't see any hands. Are there, Jim or Stacy, do you see any hands?
I don't.
What are you going to do next, Andrea?
I don't know.
We want you to join. That's for sure. Gotta get you joining our group.
What's that?
We want you to join our REA, or retiree.
I will. I
Oh,
definitely
okay.
will.
Wonderful. We'd love to have you.
Stacy, did you want to answer the question on 101 Ash and form of government?
Well, considering that it was analyzed, and what they're looking at now is illegal actions by one or more people, and the fact that I'm being deposed left and right, I would prefer not to answer more than that. But
Oh,
Good answer.
Greg has his hand up.
Didn't know that you were in the middle of that one, Stacy. Wow.
Oh, she's been making the papers. Come on, you got to read.
Who was
Yeah.
that, Jim?
We have a hand up, Greg.
All right. Well, Andrea, I'm glad that our relationship's going to continue for many decades to come, but I'm sad to see you leave the management team at San Diego. But I have a question and I hope I don't get in trouble for asking this question, but what was the most difficult mayoral or non-mayoral department that you had to work with? And I'm really hoping it's not SD SERS.
don't say Park and Rec.
Wow.
Shall we name names or not?
Most difficult.
So it could be from in perspective of policy, just things that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
took a lot of challenge, a lot of resources, a lot of effort just to get your head around and help support the council with that one business area.
Real estate.
Oh, Lord.
Real estate office.
Real estate has been one of those areas that are not one of the city's core competencies for many, many years. And I don't know exactly why, but it's just, I have some of my own stories, but it's been a tough area.
It has, and there's a new person, so trying to, but that's, yeah, there was something very, very wrong there.
We have a hand up from Danelle.
Great, thank you. Andrea, I just wanted to be here to acknowledge the contribution that you've made and to acknowledge what a mentor role model guide for women developing their leadership skills that you've been through the years. Just solid. I would ask a question about what your guidance would be to the community, kind of that other leg of how you brought them in, an educated community, kind of what's your advice to the community to maintain their active role in this, three-legged stool, four-legged stool, your advice to that segment as you close out this chapter. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. You did great. And it was made us all proud because you did so well.
Thank you. Yeah, the communities are really getting their acts together. Let me put it that way. And I think that's what they need to do. You can't just come in and say, I want this park. You've got to have a plan for it. I mean, they have to be more sophisticated, and that's what we were trying to do. But I certainly see we have a lot of community people come in and ask to meet with us, and how can they be better. And I don't know what personally they can do, but I know what the city can do. And I think there's just so much more awareness of the equity issues and the equity budgeting, and we have to look out not for the amount of money, but where the money goes. And it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, but a lot of people don't even know how to get involved in that. So that's what we were trying to do.
Okay, I've got my own hand up. I left 2005, and since then I've been involved with the community planning groups and the recreation councils. Over the last couple years, there's been, and this is somewhat outside the budget area, certainly, but when you start talking about community involvement, it seems like, although I'm a former city employee and knew some of the ins and outs, having these community planning groups and recreation councils, or if that's what they're still called, seem to be an entryway for people to learn about their own community and to learn about how they can affect changes through city government, rather than acting as an individual showing up at a council meeting. Recently, and I'd say in the last 3 years, they've come under attack, even to address the city charter that apparently doesn't allow for community planning groups to have any kind of function. Council member LaCava has come forward with some proposals for, I wouldn't call it improvement, I'd call it in a diminution of the ability of communities to organize about land use issues and recreation. It's outside of your scope as a budget analyst, it seems like, but it seems a step back. Do you have a comment on that?
Honestly, that scenario we just didn't even focus on. It was more political, not really policy or budget. But there's been a lot of problems with several of the groups, and I honestly didn't even follow it very well.
Great. Okay.
I could not add to it.
I understand. So do we have other questions? Dick, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, Andrea, I want to really thank you for coming to us today and giving us your candid thoughts, and thank you for your service to the city. I've admired you in your office for many, many years. And so I want to commend you for that, and thank you again. And thank everybody for their participation today. Thank you, Stacy, for inviting Andrea and having the idea. And I think we had a great meeting, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll join us again next time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you all. Okay, we'll sign. We're going to close the meeting down and the recording down. You can, people that want to hang around and socialize for a few minutes are certainly welcome to do so. It's been a joy. Thank you all. Happy New Year.